What are we talking about?
Well, I love our commercial. I started going through them today. That is so fun. We have interviewed quite a few ladies.
Yeah, we've done quite a few interviews in the past year, and I think we're marking our year anniversary now.
Oh!
Right, we're around that year mark where you and I started doing it, or not yet even. Maybe I'm at the year mark of doing Borderline, and then Borderline turned to Wild.
And nonprofit. I mean, yes. We've packed a lot in.
Ooh.
Yay!
And I love how we had Jacqueline Seymour do our introduction song. I love that. So much gratitude to her for giving it to us and letting us roll with it. So, yeah.
Yay! We're live. Welcome. It's W.I.L.D, the podcast. Diana, Ashton. We're doing things a little different tonight because Diana, you may have heard, if you're just tuning in and finding us, then you haven't heard us talk about her memoir, but we can't help but talk about it. It's so exciting. Tonight I get to ask the questions. Diana.
I'm just excited. So I'm just going to hold my book up and, hello.
We're so stoked. And I don't know how you do this, Diana, but we have to call out. We are W.I.L.D, the podcast, and we air on Jess TV, Roku TV, SSH 101 TV, NCG Television Network, Fire TV, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and www.jessfm.ca. W.I.L.D, the podcast is proudly sponsored by W.I.L.D, the nonprofit, with a mission to eradicate domestic violence and envision a better tomorrow. For more information, please visit nonprofit.com. Also sponsored by Wild Homes and Gardens magazine.
Yay.
Lifestyle magazine for women. This is really found Diana. Her poems had been stuck, and you're not even in the first issue, and you inspired it. I always tell you, but I haven't even probably told you the whole.
No, but I made it into the second and the third, and that's really exciting. And I love our partnership. I love how far we've come, and I can't believe we're in season 2 of W.I.L.D, the podcast. That is something I didn't even think was going to happen. I remember it was about a year ago when Jessie approached me and said, you want to host a podcast? And I'm thinking, well, sure, but I have no idea what I'm doing. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but I'll do it. And all I had in my mind back then is that I have to get my memoir written, and all I can think of, I have the title, but nothing else. So I'm going to name the show Borderline. And then somehow in this crazy universal connection, the serendipities and you just appeared, and it was just one poem. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to this and how exciting. And then I started submitting, and I didn't even realize the poetry I was writing was going to end up in the memoir, and that our podcast would be reaching 80,000 viewers. Thanks to Jess TV. Thank you, Lethbridge, Canada. We so appreciate you. And none of it, I had no anticipation. I had just the thrill hope that something happens. And somehow everything I was hoping did happen. I still feel surreal to be holding this book. I do sleep with it. I can't tell you that I've read it yet. I skimmed through it. So I do chapters, and I have to step back because it's hard to realize, wow, that's I've lived it, and I have to give it that respect it deserves, little by little.
Yes, one day when you read it from beginning to end, I feel like you'll be so outside of it reading, it might not even feel like your own story. I don't know why I feel that way, but the way you've described how and that's of course, I read it all different ways, but my copy, or this copy, it's all marked up for like quotes, like things, and I sleep with it. It's next to my bed. It's not that I sleep with it, but it's next. That's where I do my reading at the end of the night.
It's okay.
So it's super exciting as it is circulating. I can't wait for people to send us pictures. I'm always like, send me a picture of the book on your night, like wherever you read it. Nightstand, usually, most of us. So
I would love to connect and hear from everybody who has read the book, is interested about the book. I am always happy to talk about the book, because for me, it's not that I woke up one day and wrote it. It's more like I lived it, and then finally I overcame this crazy fear and believed in myself and said, okay, I'm just going to do it. And your editorial work, I will say, is superb. You definitely changed it. I think if I had published it how I had the chapters, it would have been completely different. And I really love this so much more because you really gave it that juice that it needed, I think, as an editor. So I appreciate that.
Just outside eyes. That's it. Like, that I feel like that editor, I can't edit my own work. You, like, every time you send you're like, oh, I'm going to go back and edit it. I'm like, I get it, girl. I love it. Like, I love the way I received your words too. Like, that was the raw, like, that was cool. I love, like, I've never done this before. Of course, I've published these magazines, the 3 magazines, but this is all new. Like, this has been a learning experience, to say the least, but so fun. Like, and it's so, like, walking around, it was like rainy, crappy day, and I'm walking around with my little basket. I have your books, going to, I don't even know how to say their bookstore in Tampa, or in St. Pete, Tombolo. I feel like I'm butchering it when I hate... But it's there, and I'm like the little, like, hey, my umbrella's like shaking all over, delivering your books, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm the normal publisher, all the things, but maybe there's no normal. But it's been so much fun, Diana. So I wanted to start with a quote, but we're skipping that because we have way exciting news. You have exciting news. Tell us about this.
So, a borderline, which is the highlight poem of the book. I mean, borderline title, but I really wanted the poem to kind of embody the whole story that's written in prose. And obviously, I submitted the poem individually to various places, and it has been actually published in a newspaper. And I love newspapers.
Oh, me too.
Of being published in a newspaper, and now I am, and this is an amazing cause, an amazing paper. It is Despair Change News, and it was founded in 1992 in Boston to help low-income families and really, I mean, the hope is to end homelessness, but obviously that's smaller, right? But they're doing it, they're working on it, and they're providing quality, information to those who need it most. And it is always there, and it's out monthly. And so now for this issue, for the March-April issue, my poem Borderline has been featured in it, so I can actually show you the newspaper with my phone. And that is so exciting. For me, I don't know if a lot of people get excited about newspapers nowadays, but I do, just the smell of them and just all of
yes, I love the news. People do.
And it was actually Mark Goldfinger who approached me on LinkedIn and said, you would love to have one of your poems. And I opened the page to where he had written his column, and it starts off with, this past Saturday, I went with my wife to the Boston Ballet. And I read that, and I was like, this past Saturday, 2 Saturdays ago, I went to the Boston Ballet, too, with my kid. And it was just, I don't know, such a connection that I made, and right up on the bottom of it is my poem Borderline. So I'm just like,
that's so cool. Oh, that's cool.
Serendipities of life, and I think that's the beauty of writing and sharing of your work, even no matter how scary it is.
Putting yourself out there. No one's going to read it. It's the hardest thing because we're like, why isn't anybody reading it? Because we didn't post. And that's what my favorite role helping you is cheerleading. Like I said, I looked forward to those mornings. That's what it is. I mean, essentially reading it, seeing like the story, like, yes, we need more of this, like all the things. And you did it. You stepped outside and you started sharing, because I wasn't looking back. Once you said yes to me, I was like, oh, I know. Like, so how about, do you want to read Borderline to us?
I will read Borderline. I hope I don't come across too nasal reading it. I just, cold has been kind of getting to me. Also, my voice can crack. I haven't read this poem out loud yet. I've actually submitted to so many places, and it's been getting such, rave reviews. It's getting published, but I haven't read it aloud myself. So this is the first time.
Take your time.
Ahead of time if I fumble, and I feel a fumble one. So that was my first fumble. There we go.
No, we're not counting.
Not counting at all. Borderline. Always I find myself stranded between black and white, good and bad, the razor-sharp line that slices the air. The border no one seeks, yet I walk it, barefoot, finding balance in the gray. Well, you want to reintroduce the show?
Yes, so we're there. Oh, yes. So we're here with Diana. For anyone who is just tuning in, welcome to W.I.L.D, the podcast, where we dive into conversations that matter. I'm Ashton Ryan. I'm with my co-host Diana Kouprina tonight. We are so stoked. We air live on Jess TV, Roku TV, SSH 101 TV, NCG Television Network, Fire TV, and we're live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and at www.jessfm.ca.
And also, you can always catch previously live recorded episodes on wildthepodcast.com. And we are on Spotify. Thank you.
Woo!
That is really exciting, and I'm getting my voice back, so I'm going to use it to finally read it. So anyone that's tuning in, this is my poem, Borderline. Borderline. Always, I find myself stranded between black and white, good and bad, the razor sharp line that slices the air, the border no one seeks, yet I walk it, barefoot, finding balance in the gray, an impossible dance, a tightrope strung between right and wrong. Words search for fear falling into the silence of the gray, where shadows move like ghosts. The sea of black and white crashes on either side, waves gnashing like teeth against the tightrope butterfly. I've tumbled from this border before, flung back and forth a tennis ball in its coolest match. When I fell into the black abyss, I drowned in its triangle of evil, sucking in water like air, grasping for the board to hold my soul above the flood. I wandered too into the whitewashed brightness, where the good was no more than an empty glare. The good did not breathe joy into me, did not drive away the fear. No, it spun me back into the dark, until I found the balance between it all. I don't mind this life on the border, between black and white, good and bad, in the shifting light of gray. My soul has learned to harden and soften in equal measure. A flicker of light above the staircase I climb, barefoot still.
That was awesome. That was great.
Practice. I yet to have many practices. This is one of the poems that's going to be featured on You're the Poet on the radio. I believe they're in Ohio, so I'll share the link when it comes out and all the fun stuff. But I'll definitely be practicing a little bit more before it gets published.
It sounds great. So you've been, is it Wingless Dreamer? Tell us about your future, because what I really want you to help us, inspire us, tell us about your sharing process, how you select your own. Dive in there without sharing all your deep secrets. But how do you get inspired besides getting yourself motivated to write? When you share, you're wonderful at sharing on your social media pages. How do you decide? I think that's my question.
It has a stress relief now for me.
That's awesome.
Because so when I got onto Facebook, I had already gone through that whole like craze of MySpace and trying to brand myself as a model, and that was a complete failure. I do discuss it in boredom, but to not give it all away. So I had that, and I also had. So anyway, Facebook, I try to use it as a marketing.
Oh man, can you hear me still? So, I don't know if it's me or Diana, but we're frozen right now. Oh no. Well, while we're waiting for Diana to come back, I'm doing what Diana usually does, and I don't want to forget to shout out anybody that is helping sponsor us, because we have been getting all kinds of people have reached out, and I know it's from here. So, without further ado, if you're just tuning in, it's W.I.L.D the podcast. We are live on Jess TV, Roku TV, SSH 101 TV, NCG Television Network, Fire TV, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and jessfm.ca. Hi.
I don't know what happened. But
I was like, I think it's her internet. I continued on, just we took a break. So we're back.
Okay, we're back. Yes, so sorry about that.
Don't be.
But I feel like through every mistake we make, it's a learning opportunity. And going back to the question you asked about Facebook and just social media.
How do you decide?
I wanted to be completely transparent, but I also knew one day I would write, or one day I wanted to do something where I would need to brand myself. May it be having a business, may it be finally writing the book. I didn't know, but somehow branding just was kind of in my brain, and it was screaming at me. And
I love this.
How do you find connection on Facebook? It's one thing to share your posts. It's one thing to boost your posts through sales. And I personally did not have the financial resources to boost my post. And I realized, okay, the way to connect is through sharing in groups. So connecting through various groups and sharing random things. And then I realized, okay, but even if this group is titled this, they're rejecting my post. Like, this is crazy. I can't. So what I did is I joined groups. I changed my algorithm completely to what I wanted to see. That was part of my healing, that spoke to my soul, spoke to my spirituality, even though I wasn't really at the time believing it. It was kind of like a cliche, but I needed kind of to read it every morning. It had to be there for me. And so I was like, okay, I don't just want to share all this on my page, right? What's the benefit? No one's seeing what I'm posting anyway. So I started groups, and I began searching for friends. And I mean friends that more like on LinkedIn, professional connections, people who I admired, people who not just were commenting that, hey, hot stuff, I love
Yes.
So I had to bypass all that to get to the real people. And that was a nuisance on its own. And the only thing I can actually credit that experience to, and that I was able to maneuver myself out of was because I've been on Model Mayhem. And so all that was just not pleasing me in this time. I was like, no, I know what you're coming after, and it's not about me trying to write a poem, and it has, I don't need you in my story. There's a lot of deletion, but I also wanted to connect with people I found inspiring. And so I didn't hesitate to, friend request and so forth. And it just sort of spiraled, and I started creating these groups, and I started with Let's Connect, and that went, and I was like, okay, didn't even mean to make it private. I just wanted to know what it meant to turn a group private. That's a regret I have. I wish I never turned it private, because that way not everyone gets to see it. And before, I had a daily views of 10,000, and then we cut down to 2,000. So that,
can you not change it?
No, you cannot go back once you go private.
Oh, see, I don't think I've ever gone back and forth. I don't know if I've really ever had a page. I don't know.
So Facebook became that kind of like, I share my healing ideas that I get inspired through memes, and I share it everywhere, right? And so that through that, I began connecting to people, and eventually came a really hard point where that was it. My immigration was complete chaos, and my mass ID was expiring, so I was going to be completely done with no paperwork. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And I connected with people. I started doing interviews, and then that all led me back to being like, okay, well, I've done this interviews. How about I start writing? And slowly I went on threads, and like few stanzas, each stanza one by one, I began saying, okay, there's a point. The book is coming. I don't know what it's going to look like. For some reason, I have to be on threads right now and just writing whatever is coming to my mind. And yeah, and then you came. And the rest, with our connection and just submitting, those were the first poems I actually just wrote on threads. And I didn't even edit them when I send them to you. I just sent them to you.
Oh, they're so good too. So how do you tell our viewers, or give them, give us some inspiration? I keep using that word, but you know what I mean, that boost. Because tell us how you decide. Yes. How do you decide? How do you decide to share? What gives you that? Like, you just let go? Is it just little deep breaths? How do you submit? How do you, that's where my gut always feels.
I had to hit complete rock bottom, that I literally saw it as like, okay, for some reason, this is going to be my saving grace. Because I was coming from, I didn't have a work authorization. I don't know what's happening to my immigration. Am I really that scared to submit something at this point to a publisher? Well, at that point, no.
Okay, well, using that to lead in, let's tell us about your book, because there's a few facets, but immigration fits in, and I know you have some things in the work. So tell us about Borderline.
So Borderline.
You like that, Vig? So
when 10 years ago, I decided that I wanted to write a book. I really wanted to do it. I didn't know how it was going to be done. I begged my sister to do it with me. She said, it's your book, you have to do it. And through it all, I continuously had the same thoughts, the same memories that I'm going through in my head, and I'm like, they need to come out. And I had this really hard time distinguishing between what was immigration and what was mental health issue, right? And so the trauma and immigration, they had to separate. And that's why Borderline. I chose Borderline because, yes, it is one thing to be on the border, to be an immigrant, and view it in that aspect. But it's mainly, this book is about healing and not so much touching base on the laws of immigration, let's say, and everything else I had to do to get to this point. This book is more about healing the soul, and letting that voice really shine through, and a lot of letting go, because I had to let go of a lot of hate, a lot of feelings of regret, a lot of feelings of self-blame, and shame. I mean, I like to think right now I'm walking on shameless, because I know that I exposed so much here that, it is what it is, right? We all have our memories. We all go through something. We all have our villains. And that is not to say they're horrible people, but I don't like to think of anyone as horrible, but we all have our villains, right? And no matter what they do, they were doing it for whatever reason they did. But at the end of the day, they also shaped the story, and there would be no book if I didn't experience any of that.
And sharing your story, the fact that you are sharing your story, it's so powerful, because not only did you survive a few things through your life that some people may not have survived, you are sharing it now, and this is going to help people, because this is the things that you are like. Some of the things are extreme, but I always love your Model Mayhem references, because the Model Mayhem is still around. Like your stories are.
And I don't know how it works now, but I wonder. I know I'm not the only one, obviously, and I mentioned it in the book. I wasn't the only one. I've had friends that way, but just that there's this there's no line, I want to say. And I think there's photographers that probably to this day take advantage. I mean, I don't know what it's like to be in your 20s today on Model Mayhem, trying to book modeling gigs. But I can say that, when was I, 20? So let's say about 25, 26 years ago, it was a crazy, crazy time period.
Mm-hmm.
It was, the darkness was there, and it was really hard to find people who just wanted to create art. And for me, it robbed that nudity is actually beautiful, and there's no shame in it, and it's actually art. It robbed that through my experiences, that with nude photography, there had to come some sort of sexual transaction.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, like you said, there's no line. The lines are so blurred. And communication, the modeling, I feel it's so crazy. And yes, I remember Model Mayhem that 25 years ago. So different, so different. So moving on, though. So tell us about where we can find Borderline.
Where we can find Borderline. Oh, Ashton, you're so much better at this than me. Borderline is everywhere books are sold. But let's get specific. I know we have a great, amazing audience in Canada, Lethbridge, Canada. We love you. Thank you for loving us, for viewing us, for tuning in, for all your support. Actually, for me, it all started with me with Just TV and Jessie just saying, hey, want a podcast? And somehow I did a podcast and titled it Borderline. And then Hansen appeared, and here we are, and it's W.I.L.D, the podcast. So for the book Borderline, you can find it on Amazon Canada, obviously Amazon US. We have it. I want to say it's still free on Kindle Unlimited. I believe that never really went away, so it's there. I think it's still free.
I don't know if it's free.
Okay, listen to her. I might just be giving stuff away.
But it is on Kindle. It is on Kindle.
It is on Kindle.
Barnes and Noble. All the main retailers.
And we are currently in a couple of bookstores. And again, Ashton knows this better than me, so she's gonna give it a little.
So we have a few places around, because I have bookstores around Florida that I love, and then Diana has local bookstores. So I want to say, oh gosh, I wasn't prepared for this either. I don't know why I asked you. I was hoping you could just spit it out. Tombola, we're in St. Pete.
Lovestruck
for sure, Boston.
Square, So if anyone is taking a tour around Harvard Square, it's right on Brattle Street. And they
Yes.
have a beautiful, beautiful, they do beautiful window displays. And yes, I'm gonna finally bite the bullet, not be a chicken, and go in and introduce myself.
Yay!
So yay.
It's the season. The sun is shining. It's time.
Yes, spring is coming, and I guess
that was one.
Has been planted, right? So.
Well, and I'm hoping I'm hoping to get some author events for you, and you will too, in your area, Boston, of course. So that's if we have viewers that are in your area. I think it would be so cool in person to have you reading just, a segment or two. I don't know, an author event would be amazing because you do read your.
I mean, it gives me more courage to overcome my fears. And believe it or not, I don't know how I do this podcast. I was actually thinking about that. I was like, I have no stage fright when it comes to this podcast. But at the same time, I do it in the safe little space of my little nook. I'm cozy. Space, and I'm like, yeah, I completely forget that we have this amazing, extraordinary audience. So it takes away that fear. And I was thinking about that as we were going to do this interview. I was like, but wait, they do exist. They're listening. You know. In my mind, I'm like, I got this. I got. But going in front of a live audience, I remember I did an open mic when I first started writing my poetry. So this is exactly a year ago, and we went and I started rewriting my poetry, and I wanted to take big girl steps, and I went to an open mic, and I went up and I read, I think the poem was Let's Connect. I know I posted a lot of it on social media. And when I read it, I literally was shaking. Like, I could not contain my body from shaking. My legs were shaking and my voice did that tremble. Like, I could not control any of it. It just happened. But even after that, I felt so great. And I was like, I can do this again. And so it's been a progression of, I can do this again, kind of overcoming the fears and saying, yes, I can do it.
Well, it feels so good afterwards.
Well, also and that's the trick, and I will give this away to anyone.
Ooh, yeah, a trick.
Yes, my secret.
Ooh, I'd love a trick.
So I've been reading The Little Prince for the past year, aloud to my daughter. Every single night, page by page, aloud. And it started, and I even can tell you that when I started, I had this sing-song read to it. And because I've been reading it so much now, I can actually hear how my voice fluctuates, how it changes. It's amazing. And I have no idea why it's that story, and my daughter has no idea what it's that story. I've done something amazing. That's why I'm able now to even, the script for Just TV, I can do it because I got The Little Prince going in my head at the same time. And I'm like, this is how you do it.
So I thought, okay, so Paulina didn't choose it. Y'all don't know how did y'all choose that one? You mentioned this.
My kid is on TikTok. She's a little nerdy. So amazing thing.
Yes.
I'm very proud of that. But The Little Prince became popular. And she's like, but we have a jewelry box and we have the book. And I was like, okay, let's read it. And it started with her basically telling, you need to change your voice because I sounded too freaky. We've gone through a lot of training. She's worked with me. And gotta say, it's been amazing. So that's
such a good trick. Yes. Yes. So for anyone just tuning in, welcome to W.I.L.D, the podcast. We dive into conversations that matter. I'm Ashton Ryan, and I'm here with my brilliant co-host, Diana Kouprina.
Where you have today. So I'm not a co-host. I'm just the guest.
Brilliant co-host. But we've been talking about Borderline, a poetic memoir, your debut novel. I don't know if we ever actually read the description. Do you want to read the description to us?
I can read the description.
I put you on the spot so much, right? You're doing great.
So I'll give you a little look-see at it before I read it. Borderline, a poetic memoir, is a deeply personal and evocative work that seamlessly blends poetry and prose to explore themes of identity, belonging, and self discovery. Written by author Diana Kouprina, the book is a lyrical memoir that chronicles the author's past from childhood, marked by cultural displacement, to a future shaped by empowerment and acceptance. Through a stunning mix of reflective prose and raw and emotive poetry, Diana Kouprina captures the complexities of being an immigrant in a world that often feels too divided and too contradictory.
Beautiful. See, I could listen to you read. I understand.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm working on it. I promise by the time we get the audiobook, I will.
Yes.
My reading will be even up to par. I want to perfect it as much as I can. I want to do wonderful things. And
you're doing wonderful things. You are doing wonderful things. So tell our viewers, as if they have never heard us talk about it, describe your book, beginning to end, less than a summary, more than a sentence. Tell readers what they can expect.
Okay, so I talked to someone the other day who's reading my book, and he said, Diana, it's amazing, it's mind-blowing, but whew, it's intense. And I was like, it's intense. And what I mean by that, I mean, I don't want to say that it's pity invoking. I don't want anyone to take away feeling pity from me. That has never been it. I think the biggest takeaway about the book that I want people to have, and especially those who have had borderline personality disorder, that suffer from borderline personality disorder, that have suffered trauma, and all of that, that they're not alone, first of all, and all trauma looks different, and this is just my trauma. And if by reading my trauma can help you let go of yours, and maybe it's just to write it out in a journal, or maybe it's just to do it for yourself, or maybe it is to get published. I hope that inspires you to do it. Here, I go coffee and get it.
So, another thing, and I forgot, I didn't even ask you, so this is so off script, but something that you talked about in Borderline was Westwood. And there's some things going on. Like, I feel like this is just an excellent teaser. This is, we're so, like...
Well, you know, in 1999, I was placed in a mental hospital, and I don't really think of anything of it, except that it was horrible. And I tried to block every single memory I could far in my head. I remember, you know the film Girl Interrupted?
Yes, of course.
So when Girl Interrupted came out, I watched the movie and I was like, wow, they're so lucky. I wish my mental hospital was like that.
Oh, gosh.
Right? And now people who've seen Girl Interrupted would say, no, that was kind of bad. Like they.
Oh, my gosh.
But to me, I'm like, that was so amazing. That was not my experience.
The newspaper articles are like gripping.
And the newspaper articles came out in 2012. The hospital didn't close down until 2017, and I was there in 1999, and I witnessed, I experienced sexual assault that I thought were just part of my crazy memories and my imagination. But the more I dove into writing about it, the more I was like, oh yeah, that was bad. Oh yeah, that was bad. That happened. So trying to process it, I think I'm gonna write a bit more about Westwood Lodge and my experience there in my next book, Stateless, and it will work together with this one, and to actually loop around to the beginning of our conversation about how I had the book idea. It was about creating the two divided. So one is Borderline, which is more on mental health, and then Stateless is more the immigration aspect and the paperwork, and actually all paperwork that for doctors and everything I've been through with all the various treatments, and a lot of them which were just bad. And the Lodge was one of them. And to this day, it is one of those traumas I'm still trying to heal past. And it's funny because I wrote Borderline. I was like, wow, okay, I let go of all my childhood traumas. I let it go. And then there's Westwood Lodge, and I'm like, oh, but I didn't fully dive into that, and I'm going through it now.
Wow. Okay, so that's what I was wondering what we can expect. I kind of have a little tiny. I've seen your handwritten. I know this one is handwritten.
Yeah, it has Westwood Lodge. I mean, I'm just going with whatever thoughts come to mind. I don't know what it's actually even gonna look like when I start typing it, but I figure I owe myself that. Not myself rather, but my thoughts, that justice, that I can actually finally feel safe enough to have a journal and write in it, and not fear that it's gonna get stolen, get destroyed, or whatever. So I don't have to keep everything in my head.
Both of those things happen to Diana with her writing. She has stories that have been, which you can find in Borderline, but there's always so many tangents that I could easily go off on because I'm like this book isn't long enough. Like I could have heard way more, but I like that realness. The way you write, it is like talking to you, and you paint the picture. You're eloquent. It's amazing. You're writing, telling your story. It's yes.
It's nice, but at the end of the day, I'm also I am waiting. Are there gonna be bad critiques? What are they gonna read like? Like, what are they gonna see?
And we're going into that. That's where we're at. I know we're at a new level.
I am a little bit excited for them because I finally realized that negativity is just a learning experience.
So feedback.
It's feedback. And if someone didn't like something, and if it was the wording, or if I did something, I am working on Stateless. And I want to say Stateless is going to be a bigger book than Borderline. And I know we anticipate a lot from Borderline, but Stateless has always been that big book where I want to address as much as I can, and without feeling that I need to do an introduction of myself in the story. It's there, it's been written, and we're just kind of going even deeper.
Well, there's so many things too, and that's what I think is so awesome, the way that you wrote your memoir from beginning to end of sorts. It's a bit linear, but your stories go and so many entanglements, and it's so cool to read it in that order. And the way I read it, every book individual, you're at a different place, and the way you write reflects it. It's so interesting, and it's so cool to write. It was just so cool to read. It's been so cool to read and to see. And now that this is about me, because this was the ultimate release for you, so it's like I feel I'm honored. I mean, of course, to be able to have read it. And so many times you were just so cute. You're like, do you think this is... you didn't use the word worthy, but do you think this is good enough? And I'm like, yes, does this make sense? Yes. Yes.
It's always nice to hear that I'm not coming across clear, or I'm missing something, or it's not worthy. I have high expectations, and at the same time I compare my writing, I try to compare it to the big ones, the big authors, and that's always it's almost asking them, like, would they find it worthy? Do they think it's okay? Will Sylvia Plath give me a nod in the right direction? It's that, and it's daunting, and I don't know if anyone can actually say if it's worthy or not, except for me. And I'm learning. I have never been as much proud of a work as I am of this. I know there's been mistakes. I know that it's not perfection, but maybe at the end of the day, no book is meant to be perfect.
Certainly not a memoir, because we're not perfect. And the point of this is, I mean, you are you want to share and you want to help others. You are you can tell every single little thing that you do, even the way your poetry comes across. You are sharing in order to help, to say you're not alone, to raise awareness, and
Yes.
you're here. And that's so cool.
Recovery is possible. And I think that's such an important part of Borderline, is that I do dive into addiction and the ugly side of addiction. And when I say addiction, I mean heroin addiction, those big addictions that are still taboo to talk about, yet they're taking over not just the US. It's big in Canada. It's huge everywhere.
And young. I mean, everybody is affected by it.
And then the elderly affected, because they've been prescribed, overprescribed oxycodones, and now they're told, oh, you can't have this medicine. Oh, let's get you into treatment and put you on Suboxone. And I'm actually this story is true. I am not allowed to reveal any characters, but I heard it today, and it just is mind blowing and the doctor just refuses to provide help that's needed to taper off, because the doctor breached so many laws by prescribing this medication to someone for the past 10 years. Can you imagine?
No. But in the life,
and this is going on, and there's people who are facing, homelessness, who are on the street because of their addiction, and a lot of those addictions were because they did go to a doctor and said, hey, this hurts. Or, hey, I went to the doctor and I said, hey, I have really bad anxiety, which I did. So I wasn't lying about anything. But I also heard that this is the treatment to get, because this is the high you need to experience. So I was already going in with a junkie mindset, I will admit.
But with your kids, though, I remember that's how it was in like the early 2000s. Well, the doctor shopping, you knew, yeah. I was a party girl. I remember all the different people had different, and I'm like, that isn't so hard to get.
And then I think back to Westwood Lodge, the mental hospital I was in, and we were over medicated. So I know that I was given probably a crazy concoction where I was just continuously roofied. And I have memories of this. And that wouldn't have been the first time I was roofied or raped. So I'm kind of very, second time you kind of like, yeah, that's it. You kind of.
That's so terrible.
You already get it. And so that could have also really fostered crazy later addictions, because that was such a huge exposure at such a tender age. I was 13, 14 years old. I can't imagine my 10-year-old daughter in 3 years, if she does need help, if she does need to be placed into a psychiatric facility. I can't imagine if she got treatment. That would destroy her. That would break her. The treatment that we had gotten. And it's the scarier part of it all is it's not just one facility. So Westwood Lodge is actually just one hospital run by a huge corporation.
Oh, gosh.
And they're actually not even just in Massachusetts, they're nationwide, and they're also in the UK. So I believe they're called Universal Health Services, and I looked it up. They make about 1.5 billion a year.
Phew.
Right?
So that's
follow the money, you learn a lot. And
well, that's exactly it.
Right? And a lot of people, when I was reading about the closure, and I really did research later on about Westwood Lodge, which really helped jog my memory. And I read so many people saying, okay, but there's this other place. And I look up the other place, and guess what? It's connected with the super corporation. It's all the same. And they have it's the culture. Because it's not like I wasn't raped by the patients, but even if I was, it would have been a culture that nobody would have believed you. But
exactly that.
Because the staff treated you like garbage, like animals.
Right.
They could do whatever they wanted, and then they'd say, "Oh, hey, but now I can give you like a cookie, or now you can have a privilege. Didn't you want foundation? Look, I got your foundation. All you gotta do is do this."
Oh, it's so bad.
And that's a place that's supposed to help people. And I'm not even talking about adults. I'm talking about children.
Yes. Girls, these young girls. It's unacceptable, and it's scary. And I remember Girl Interrupted. There's a few of them. I mean, Sylvia Plath. I mean, her books, like if you've read, like, this is a thing. It's certainly not new. And nowadays we have cameras, but even those can be disputed.
I mean, poor treatment can be hidden, and it continues. What shocked me was not finding out that Westwood Lodge was closed due to it. It just confirmed everything I was thinking about, everything that, all my memories, it just confirmed that. What actually I found shocking was that they were reviewed in 2012 and they were green lighted by the state, and they didn't actually even close down until 2017, and that's a long time.
Yes. Ugh. I know. That's when you sent me those newspaper articles, and something else popped up. Did you send me something recently that popped up? Was that just the link?
Oh yeah. So actually, Paris Hilton, she came out that she was in one of those horrible places. And
yes.
She started an organization. So I wrote about Westwood Lodge, and that actually got other people to write, and they did some research. So now you can actually visit. I forget what the link is called, but I can share it again. It's on my Facebook. It's it starts with us. It just says us. So, and it just gives you all the statistics and like everything, and then other places, not necessarily Westwood Lodge, but other places that have been for troubled teenagers got sent to.
See, and this is what we need.
A huge thing. It was a big thing, and the funny thing is, it was also so big amongst the wealthy because that's where they just send their kids. Oh, this is a troubled place, but they're spending so much money that they are thinking they're getting guaranteed treatment, but their kids are just getting abused.
And hooked on more drugs.
Yes, or, nobody comes right after such an experience, I can't say it makes you stronger. I can say finally surviving, overcoming can make you stronger, but it still steals from who you could have been.
Right.
In the beginning, instead of all this crazy searching.
And that's why we raise awareness. If anything, and you talk it out, you write it out, and you have platforms for other people to reach out for you. So that doesn't necessarily solve, but it helps. It has to help. I know so many people have reached out just through our W.I.L.D, the nonprofit Facebook page. So many stories that have come through. So you're
happy to hear that people are coming, that they're actually connecting with us, and I really wanna foster that as much as I can.
And you are.
W.I.L.D, the nonprofit, I believe that we can make that difference. I really believe we can make the change, and we have so many amazing people that have connected and are a part of it. And I know you're looking at the time because I want to say it's about closing time.
You usually I've been trying so hard to do your job that you usually do tonight, and you're amazing for being able to pay attention. Yeah, I'm like, I haven't even looked at the time. So wrapping up. Or shall I? Amazon. You can find Borderline stores local through us. WILD/press.com. You can order directly through us. If Diana you're pretty good about answering emails. If you email Diana, you can email me. We will always share Borderline. It's a digital copy to you if you can't afford it. We would love to get this in your hands. So please reach out. Either of us. We're all over. This book is so many stories tied in. There are so many people that this helped. Diana, amazing.
Ashton, you were breaking up a little. I don't know if you were breaking up on the live, but I know we only have like a minute to say goodnight, and I just want to say, everyone, thank you from the bottom of my heart for tuning in, for listening. Just TV, wow, a year. I can't imagine doing this without Just TV. It just wouldn't have happened at all. So I'm so grateful, and we've come so far, and this is season 2, episode 3, and we'll call it a special edition, where Ashton got to interview me and I got to brag about my book. And do check out my poem, Borderline. It's actually posted everywhere on social media. If you follow me, you'll get it. It's this poem, and it is featured in I just blanked. Spare Change News.
Yes. Spare Change News.
Spare Change News. Wonderful. Thank you for that. And I'm out of words. So Ashton, you want
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. This is W.I.L.D the podcast. We will see y'all next week, where we will continue to explore inspiring insights and powerful conversations that matter, live on Jess TV, Roku TV, SSH 101 TV, NCG Television Network, Fire TV, and we're live on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and jessfm.ca. You can also say it again.
Podcast.
Yes, .com. You can always find us.
On